Hello, welcome back to Peace Storm. I am Pluvius Lilon, and today we're finally finishing Phoenix Wright Justice for All. When we last left off, it was very clutch. Yet there were a lot of parts where it looked like Phoenix might lose the trial, but he kept finding ways to prolong it until he does what he needs to do. Court will now reconvene. I assume both sides are ready? Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I can understand the defense acting like this. However, why do you also seem distraught, Mr. Edgeworth? It's nothing, Your Honor. What's wrong with Edgeworth? Looks like something unexpected just happened to him. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you could please tell the court the results of the handwriting analysis on Miss Impax's suicide note. Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, we have discovered that the suicide note is a forgery. What? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This note was not written by Miss Impax herself. It is a fake. Order! Order! Mr. Edgeworth, would you care to explain what is going on? If this was not written by Miss Impax, then who wrote it? We would need more time to do a detailed analysis. However, it appears the handwriting matches that of the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida. Mr. Corrida? Well. Looks like Miss Impax never left a suicide note after all. She never wrote anything about On Guard. However, Your Honor, even though this suicide note is indeed a fake, Mr. On Guard could not have known that, and so the facts remain unchanged. Acting under the assumption that it was real, he had plotted to possess it. That does sound very plausible. This theory that On Guard had no idea that the suicide note was fake, something seems a little bit wrong with it. I wonder. The defense believes that the theory the prosecution has stated contradicts testimony. If everything the prosecution has proven up to this point is true, then it's impossible for Mr. On Guard to not have known it was a fake. What is this little item called again? A video camera, Your Honor. Well, a very small one, but... Oh, that's right, a camera. Ah, you kids and your fancy toys nowadays. Mr. Edgeworth, earlier you claimed that Mr. On Guard knew of the existence of this note because he was spying on the victim, isn't that right? If that were true, then this means Mr. On Guard would have known that the victim had forged the note. Ah! So then, the defendant knew this suicide note was a fake. And if that's true, then the situation has suddenly changed in a very dramatic way. Exactly, Your Honor. The prosecution's theory as to what Mr. On Guard's motive for murder was has suddenly disappeared into thin air. But, Your Honor, it's not as if Mr. On Guard monitored Mr. Corrida 24 hours a day. Perhaps the victim wrote the note in a place Mr. On Guard didn't know of. Well, right back at you, Mr. Edgeworth. Why don't you show us some proof that the victim made forgery at an unknown random place? Order, Mr. Edgeworth. It looks like this time it is you who has dug his own grave. As I figured. Huh? As you figured? As I figured. It all came down to this after all. Mr. Edgeworth, you are not making any sense. When I heard the results of the handwriting analysis, I thought this might happen. The question is, what next? What next? If the prosecution can't prove Mr. On Guard's motive through the evidence, then we must prove it from another angle. Well, I agree with you there. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call a witness to the stand at this time. Oh, well, that's fine. However, this witness is a little unusual. Edgeworth stuttering? This is not like him at all. Unusual? Well, what sort of witness is this person, Mr. Edgeworth? This witness is one who is perfectly fit to answer once and for all the question of who was it that hired Shelley the Killer to commit murder? That's impossible. Who in the... No such person exists who can answer that question with such certainty. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth. Who is this witness? It's, Yes, go on. Who is it? The man himself, Mr. Shelley the Killer. Oh, Mr. the Killer. Wait! Shelley the Killer? You mean the killer? I mean the assassin? Yes, Your Honor. He's coming here to the witness stand? Well, yes, in a manner of speaking. I recognize that this is a very unusual circumstance, so I ask for your permission. Well, Mr. Wright? Yes? Is this all right with you? Do I have a choice here? I can't really do much else to drag this trial out. The defense has no objections, Your Honor. I wonder if it's really all right to do this. Very well, then. The prosecution calls its witness to the stand. Edgeworth, is there no other way left to us? Now then, witness. Your name and your occupation, please.
Very good, sir. My name is Shelley the Killer, and I am a professional assassin.
I say, what is going on here? Your Honor, how can you remain so calm? And what is the meaning of this two-way radio? Actually, Your Honor, it was delivered to me just now, and it came with a condition. As long as we do not trace its source, Mr. the Killer would testify to this court. So this must be what that urgent phone call he got earlier was about. Oh no, this will not do. Witness, please present some sort of proof that you are in fact Shelley the Killer.
I understand. Please wait a second. I'm so hungry.
Maya! A voice? Mr. Wright, can you confirm anything from this? The defense has no objections to this person. We're satisfied that this man is indeed Shelley the Killer. Looks like we've run into yet another unexpected turn of events. Well, it doesn't seem like we have too many choices under these circumstances, so... Now then, witness, there's one thing I would like to confirm before we speak of anything else.
And what would that be?
At the request of a client, you killed Mr. Juan Corrida, is that correct?
It is as you say. I did indeed kill Mr. Corrida.
Now that you have answered that, let's move on to the name of your client.
Very well.
This is all just a bad dream. Yes, that's it. A bad dream. Shelley the Killer. What's he going to say?
There's something I must first state. To an assassin, nothing is more important than the trust between a client and himself. And that is the reason I am here today on this witness stand. It is my wish that you grasp this concept before I give the name of my client.
Mr. the Killer seems to be a very clever man. I'd almost say he seems to be mocking us. Well, he may appear to be our enemy, Your Honor. Mr. the Killer is only stating the truth. He is no hypocrite. He's always stood by this one belief. You mean about his trust between his clients and himself thing? It seems to be a level of trust beyond what people like me can comprehend. Well, Mr. Wright, are you ready to cross-examine this witness? Yes, Your Honor. There's no way to know what's coming next, so stay cool and collected, Phoenix. We can hear anything you have to say later. Can you please just tell us your client's...
I don't think you understand your place, Mr. Attorney. I said this is something I must first state. Do you know what the word first means?
Sorry, go on.
Well, it appears that this is one witness you can't badger, Mr. Wright.
That's only because you don't know about Maya's situation. The truth between you and your client?
I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner. In exchange, I trust that my clients are discreet about me and my identity. If too many people knew my face, it would be quite troublesome.
And that is why you're testifying in this manner?
This is the first time one of my clients has ever been accused of murder. I must preserve the De Killer name so my clients can trust me.
But couldn't someone stab you in the back and break your trust?
It has never happened before, but if it ever did...
Yes?
That person wouldn't be my client for very long. They would certainly...
That's enough! Please, no more.
Very well. It was only a hypothetical anyway.
That seems a little strange to me. I mean, you're about to tell us the name of your client. I would think that this would be very bad for them.
It doesn't matter to me. This client has already broken the rules and acted outside of their prescribed role.
Their role?
The person tried to implicate another in the crime in order to save themselves. And this is a trespass that cannot be forgiven.
Who gave you the right to be so high and mighty?
To the gentleman who spoke just now, excuse me, but would you care to die?
No, I didn't say anything.
The judge had better watch himself. We understand, so please tell us the name of your client.
I'm afraid I cannot do that. I still have a few things to say before I do.
Ah, that egomaniacal...
It's not good for your health to be so aggravated. You won't live very long if you let everything bother you.
Somehow that coming from an assassin makes it less than comforting. I don't really care about all this extra fluff, just tell us the name already. Patience. Try to calm down a little. It's important to try and understand his mindset. He seems very steadfast and close, so you're going to have to work to get him to talk. I'm not his therapist, you know. Yeah, I'm stuck again. Okay, I gotta press this one again. I'm sorry, but I was wondering about something you just said. You said that your client had already broken the rules.
A person who frames another person is the worst kind of human.
And that's why you feel you can betray this person?
I have no trust relation with a client who can't understand their assigned role.
Just my luck. An assassin with a conscience. Who would have figured?
Now then, everyone, do you think you can understand my logic?
This case just keeps getting better and better.
If you can't, then I'm afraid we can't proceed.
Everyone understands your point, I think, really.
In that case, I believe I am prepared to disclose the information you seek.
You've made it crystal clear that you value trust over all else. I believe we're ready.
Excellent. And now then, I do believe it's about time I revealed the name of my client, don't you agree?
What is it?
Now I can't bring myself to ask the client's name.
If you can't ask it, Mr. Wright, then I will. Witness. What is the name of your client who requested the murder of Mr. Juan Corrida?
That person's name is Adrian Andrews.
What? Witness. That's not who you told me it was earlier.
Pray tell, what are you talking about, Mr. Prosecutor? I should think I know my own client, and it is Adrian Andrews.
What? That can't be. On the phone earlier. What's going on here? My guess is that Mr. DeKiller just stabbed Mr. Edgeworth in the back. Stabbed Edgeworth in the back? I'm sure in order to get an audience with this court, Mr. DeKiller told him a different name. Matt on guard, perhaps? I knew it. This is outrageous. I was deceived. The witness is telling a very serious lie. But you're the one who summoned this witness. You... Shelley DeKiller?
My testimony is the truth. The defendant at the moment is not on guard, am I correct? All I wish to do is help procure his acquittal.
Wow. All of a sudden it feels like we can actually win this. Yeah.
The prosecution has failed to provide a motive and has instead provided this suicide note, which is a forgery created by the victim. Furthermore, there's a possibility that the defendant himself knew it was a fake. But most definitive of all, we have heard from the assassin himself the name of his client. Mr. DeKiller's client who requested the murder was not the defendant at all. No. With all this evidence, it is obvious to me that this means that Mr. Matt on guard is innocent.
I seem to have caused you all a bit of confusion. Please continue your discussion and call me when you have reached a verdict.
Bailiff, please bring Miss Adrian Andrews in immediately.
What now? With the way this is going, On Guard will be found innocent. This may be our last chance to save Maya. Yeah, but Edgeworth is right. DeKiller is lying. And On Guard, my client, I know he's guilty. Can I live with myself if I win this?
Who would have believed that the prosecution's own witness would absolve the defendant?
Your Honor, the prosecution requests permission to further question the witness. Shelley DeKiller is certainly lying under oath. It wasn't me. Listen, everyone, please. That testimony just now, it was all one big lie. Miss Andrews, the suicide note may have been a fake, but that man, Matt, he's the reason Celeste died. And Juan's death, it was all because he got pulled into Matt's twisted world. That testimony just now, you have to believe me. It was a horrible, horrible lie.
But Mr. DeKiller himself has testified. He has named you as his client.
No, that's not true.
Also, there's quite a bit of evidence that points to you. The knife and button donning the nickel samurai costume.
But that's...
You even have a motive. We know that Miss Celeste Impax was a large part of your life. You wanted to follow her, and you wanted revenge against those who hurt her. I would say you have plenty of reasons to want them both dead.
No, Mr. Wright. You know the truth. Please, help me. Yes, I know the truth.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor?
I believe we've reached the end of this trial. Therefore, I ask the defense for any final words or opinions.
I have to decide. Do I take the not guilty verdict and save Maya? Or do I throw this chance away and wait for Gumshoe's new evidence? What am I supposed to do? Yeah, I do want to show you both endings. Because I'm almost certain that this is where the ending splits.
But it'd be kind of weird to show an ending and then continue the episode. It's like we're not even at the 30-minute mark yet, so I can't end the episode even if I do show an ending. You know what? Let's do it. Your Honor, the defense requests that... It's no use. I can't. It feels like I've lost my voice. Phoenix. I can't do it, Mia. I can't accept a not guilty. You're a lawyer. I know. But Matt on guard is a killer, a murderer. I can't. I can't let him get away with this. I can't let someone else take the fall. If I let Miss Andrews be convicted, then I'm no better than on guard. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face the fact that it's because of Edgeworth that I now know the real truth. He could have gotten on guard convicted so many times over, but he never took a single one of those chances. If I take this verdict right now, I'd be betraying his trust. His trust? I never thought about it until now. I trust him? Yes, you do.
Mr. Wright, your opinion, please.
The defense requests that we be allowed to further question Mr. DeKiller.
Am I hearing you correctly, Mr. Wright?
Right.
But that witness has cleared your client through his testimony. Your job here is done.
I'm not done yet. To see through the witness's lies and find the truth. That is my job, Your Honor. There's still more evidence to look at. And I'm sure that once those pieces arrive here in this very courtroom, a miracle will occur.
Very well. The trial will continue. Mr. Edgeworth, please re-establish connection with Mr. DeKiller.
Right away, Your Honor.
Has a verdict been reached?
Before that, we'd like to talk with you a little more.
About? All you needed from me was the name of my client. What else could you need me for?
Well, actually, we'd like to hear everything you know about this case. That is how things are usually done. What's he talking about, usually done?
But what shall we have him testify about now?
Mr. DeKiller, if you don't mind, please testify about your client in more detail.
You legal people and your procedures. Is it any wonder no one likes to go to court? As I have already stated quite a few times, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is tampering with the scene of the crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime. While pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene, Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan Corridor was dead. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of the knife and button. That act is what I was referring to when I said my client had broken the rules.
This is a most unexpected turn of events for the 5th time now. However, this time everything has finally been revealed.
Just a second, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Edgeworth?
We still have the cross-examination to do.
But you don't need to question testimony like this. Do you, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor, the defense will question the witness, as if I have a choice here.
Huh? Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial to the defense's case. If you scrutinize the testimony, then
I'll expose the lies in that oh-so-beneficial testimony, I suppose.
I don't understand what's going on anymore.
That makes two of us.
What is it, Mr. Wright?
If I press him the wrong way, it might raise suspicions on his end. But I have to do something to waste more time. Witness, about requesting a hit.
Yes?
How much is your fee?
I see you are quite a dark-hearted man, Mr. Attorney.
Huh?
If you'd like to talk business, we can do so after the trial.
No. I'm not thinking of hiring...
Mr. Wright,
Yes?
you want to kill me. You want me dead, don't you?
What? Why would you think something like that, Your Honor?
Guilty, Mr. Phoenix Wright, you are hereby declared guilty.
Witness, let's continue. Why did you disclose the name of your client? They are your client, are they not? I'd like to think that most people wouldn't be able to overlook a person hiring another to kill.
If I had a problem with such a thing, I wouldn't be very effective at my job.
Yeah, well, a change in occupation might be good for you.
However, I will say this. Even though I am the one that does the deed, my clients are always the real guilty party.
That goes without saying, Mr. Tequila.
And their fate is to live with the knowledge of their guilt on their shoulders. However, my client this time thought that they could run away from their guilt.
You talking about the button and the knife?
Yes, and my business card.
Oh, this card.
So that no one has to waste their time, including the police. I always make it a point to make things as easy as possible.
You try to make things easy?
My business card makes it very easy to identify who carried out the service.
He's pretty devoted to his work.
But to disregard everything, to go and stab the deceased with a knife, and even hide my card from sight, that is something I cannot overlook.
It's really hard to tell if he's being truthful or not without him being here. So you're saying most clients wouldn't do such a thing?
That is correct. Usually, most people try to create an alibi for themselves. If you should use my services, Mr. Attorney, I would suggest you plan for your alibi. I would suggest you plan for your alibi, too.
No, I already told you I have no intention of using your services, ever. Why does he keep looking at me like I'm the one on trial here? From the very beginning?
That is correct. From before my client visited the room. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times.
I wonder if that's really true. That's odd. Edgeworth says something's odd. I wonder what that is. Yeah, I think our best bet is the wine glass. Or... Okay, that was it. Thank you so much for taking the time to testify, Mr. DeKiller.
What is the meaning of that attitude?
When Adrian Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea that Juan Corda had already been murdered.
But how do you know that?
From this wine glass, Your Honor.
The glass?
Mr. DeKiller's supposed client thought Mr. Corda had only fainted, which is why this glass of tomato juice was poured for the victim.
But isn't that just a part of Miss Adrian Andrews' calculated plan?
That's not possible, Your Honor. This glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would have never left their fingerprints behind.
I see your point. Mr. Edgeworth, what's your opinion?
Strangely enough, I had that same exact thought just now. Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon?
Isn't it a waste of time to ask about such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct?
I'm afraid you're mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client, as you claim, then your client should have had knowledge of Mr. Korada's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews was never your client at all.
How strange.
Yes?
Why is it that the attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation?
Phoenix, if the killer figures out what we're up to, we're in real trouble.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised. You know you can't say things like that without any evidence. Sorry.
Well, that was an awfully weak objection for the two of you.
Anyway, I'm positive there was a contradiction in that testimony. The prosecution requests further testimony concerning when the request was taken.
Very well.
Right now I have to buy us more time. While we wait for the items the killer left behind to get here. I just know that the very outcome of this trial lies with those items.
This request came to me, about a week ago. It was a request for my services on the night of the awards ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That is what occurred. I trust my memory, and I believe I made no mistakes.
So you physically met your client, huh?
That is correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building trust, in my opinion.
I see. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
One week ago, are you sure?
Yes, I'm quite sure. I, of course, had my own preparations, and was barely able to finish. When you request my services, Mr. Attorney, I hope you'll keep that in mind.
Please stop.
In any case, my client this time had a very specific date and time in mind.
A specific date and time? Did you ask why on that specific night?
No. I try to fulfill all of the conditions of my client's request. But as for why, I only had my suspicions.
Your suspicions, huh? Let's save. So what are these suspicions you had? Why'd your client request that night?
I'm sure it was all for the bear.
The bear?
My client spoke of it. I'm sure there'll be a bear-shaped figurine in Juan Corrida's room. I would like you to retrieve that item for me.
He must be talking about this bear puzzle. Inside that figurine was a suicide note. Naturally, the victim brought it with him to his hotel room. He was planning to publicly disclose its contents at the press conference, after all.
That is correct. If I had not done the job that night, I would not have known where that bear figurine was.
I see.
Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance?
The testimony just now has made one thing clear, and that is... the client knew the secret of the bear figurine. Top, why is everyone so quiet?
Mr. Wright, I think all of us already knew that.
Oh, really? Witness, please continue with your testimony.
So you physically met Adrian Andrews, right?
Of course I did.
What was that? What was with that brief pause? It's probably just my imagination. I had to find something more definitive to catch this guy on. Can we believe that your testimony up to this point has been reliable? Yeah, maybe we should press then. Witness, I'd like for you to give us a few more details.
I always meet my clients as a matter of principle. I've never taken a request by telephone or mail.
And why is that?
That's because I value the trust between a client and myself above all else. And the only way to establish that is to speak to the client while looking them in the eye.
Well, Mr. Wright,
Of course, it was very important, Your Honor. If Mr. DeKiller had met his client before the murder, then it's unlikely he's mistaken.
so you're saying it was this client? So you're saying that his client really was Adrian Andrews?
I guess so.
You see, it is just as I said.
Nay!
I'm so lost. Who the heck am I supposed to be helping here? Calm down, Phoenix. Think carefully and relax.
Now then, would the witness please continue?
So your client was Adrian Andrews?
That is correct.
Well, he says the two of them met. But if they did, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with DeKiller's testimony. Well, there doesn't seem to be anything strange this time around. You have to draw more information from him, but you can't draw his suspicion. If you can do that, you should be able to find a flaw in his testimony somewhere. Talk about a delicate balance. Let's see here. Why he meets his clients is not important, and that wasn't the point. Witness, please stop sidestepping my questions.
What do you mean by that?
My question was, did you really meet Adrian Andrews in person?
I have already told you, Mr. Wright, I did. It is only through talking with him face to face that I began to trust him. That's when I thought, I can trust this person as a client.
It's true what they say about talking face to face. Well, Mr. Wright?
If I heard what I think I heard just now, then I think I've got him. Your Honor, I believe the testimony just now was of the utmost importance.
Oh, really?
If that's the case, witness, please include your statement just now in your testimony.
Very well. From the moment I saw him, I thought, I can trust this person as a client.
Yeah. Are you sure about that? Are you sure you laid eyes on this person at all? I'd like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at a bar and took the request at that time.
Yes, that is correct.
And that's when you thought he was trustworthy.
How many times must I repeat myself? Yes, that is correct.
I'm sorry, but that's an impossible tale.
What?
Shelley DeKiller. You have never met the real Adrian Andrews.
Why would you say that?
Because you made one very big slip-up about her.
So what is the issue? What did you just say just now? About her?
If you'd ever met Adrian Andrews in person, One look would have told you that she's a woman.
Oh!
Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright, what is the meaning of this?
This witness has testified to the following: that he always meets face-to-face with his clients when taking their request.
But he has never met Adrian Andrews in person.
Yes, Your Honor, that is exactly the point. That means Mr. DeKiller's client could not have been Miss Adrian Andrews.
Mr. Redworth, I understand your logic on this one. However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake?
I believe it has to do with her name, Your Honor.
Her name?
Yes, Adrian Andrews is, without a doubt, a very androgynous name.
Yes, I see.
Unluckily for Mr. DeKiller, the entire time he was on the stand, no one had stated Adrian Andrews' gender, and so he simply picked the wrong gender to go with.
What? What is going on? Shelley DeKiller, this court demands an explanation.
I think somehow I must have mixed up this client with another.
So does that mean you remember something different now?
Yes, of course. Please, if you would allow me to testify once more.
Yeah, I know he's just going to spit more lies.
Very well, but this time please give us the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, now I remember. I took that request by mail. There have been times when I took a job without having met my client. The request was for the murder of one coroner and 2 or 3 small other things. When I saw the name at the end of the letter, I'd thought my client to be a man.
So you took this job through a letter?
He didn't mention anything about a letter in his earlier testimony, which means he's definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. If you break the assassin's testimony completely, it's over for us. I know, I can't make him suspicious, but I think we're okay. Like, we can do this. As long as he's standing there across from me, no matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it.
Now then, let's begin the cross-examination.
Save it good. Because, yeah, this even I can tell this testimony's full of holes. But didn't you just say that you always meet your clients?
Yes, I suppose I did say that. However, there are some clients for whom a meeting is simply not possible.
But didn't you meet your client this time?
No, I did not.
Oh, come now. Let's stop with this game of cat and mouse.
Using your silkiest voice is not going to work on me.
Alright then, just cough it up and confess.
Mr. Wright, you can't badger a witness with such harsh words. You're a lawyer, so behave like one and present evidence instead of mindlessly yelling. Now then, do you have any proof that Mr. DeKiller met with his client?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof.
I see. Then your line of questioning was just another waste of time.
Sadly for us, Your Honor, that is the nature of right and wrong. And why would you not meet certain clients?
Recently, I've been receiving more requests. If I met each and every client, I would lose some nice business opportunities.
Nice business opportunities?
On top of which, the times have changed. It is now the age of information and computers, correct? Well, I've joined the Times and now take requests via electronic mail.
Electronic mail? Do you have to mail that? Do you have to mail that in a special insulated envelope?
I'm very sorry. I despise the shortening of words. What I meant by electronic mail is commonly referred to as email.
Email?
In a contest of mimicry, the judge would beat a parrot, hands down. Anyway, so you took this job without having met your client, and... two or three other things?
Yes.
And what were these other things?
A few other things that have nothing to do with this case.
What should I do? Should I let him slide with that? It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way and he got mad. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes?
everything I have said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client, which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you're planning to betray your own client?
That's...
I smell the stench of a backstabber, and should you turn out to be one...
Wait. Uh-oh. This is looking really bad. I shouldn't press my luck. Alright, I have to think. Is this worth pursuing, or... Witness, this is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were.
If it's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine.
The bear figurine?
After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing.
And where was that figurine?
It was inside Mr. Corridor's suitcase.
And then what did you do next?
I handed it over to my client right away.
You gave it to your client. Interesting.
This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just stated in your testimony.
As you wish. One of these was to find the bear figurine and give it to Adrian Andrews.
I found this figurine at Mr. Enguarde's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what's it doing here?
I was waiting for her there. That was also part of the plan to frame Mr. Enguarde, I'm sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems with this piece of testimony?
So DeKiller says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews, but I know somewhere in that statement there's a contradiction. And yet, I know that if I present something trivial here, he'll cut the connection on his end. If you want to make a strong point, Phoenix, you have to present strong evidence. She's right. So now what, Dr. Wright? Witness, let's go over this one more time. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take that bear and wait for her at Enguarde Mansion. Is that correct?
Yes. Where are you going with this?
Well, I think maybe you might have remembered a few things incorrectly.
What?
This is a battle of wits. I can't let up on him. I don't think it's possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient of this bear. I think that's it. Shelley DeKiller. If you'd really given the bear to Miss Andrews, then this item should not have been inside it.
This item?
I see where you're going. Yep, that's where I'm going.
Where's everyone going? Do I need to pack a suitcase?
Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. And I was going to burn it, for her sake. If even for a single minute, this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it.
Order! Order! So that's where you two are going.
So by the very fact that this suicide note was still inside the bear, it tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle.
Which means...
It means, Your Honor, that it is impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client.
Oh! Order!
Mr. Phoenix Wright. I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement.
No, that's not...
That's enough. If that is your intention, there is only one thing for me to do.
Wait, please.
Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to.
No, please. Not that. Please wait.
Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end and I may stay my hand. Otherwise...
What are the... Mr. Wright, are you... Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor.
I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there's a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough?
Well, we should... Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya, she'll... The prosecution,
What has come over everyone? Even you are...
The prosecution rests.
What is going on around here?
The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor.
What? Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I'm reluctant, I must believe that Mr. DeKiller's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley DeKiller's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor?
If I end the trial right here, right now, then your client, Matt on God, would be declared innocent, and in his place, Adrian Andrews would be charged with murder.
Miss Andrews will be charged with murder?
The prosecution has no further questions, and we will now hear the defense's final remarks.
Oh, this is definitely it. I'm almost certain. There we go.
Bailiff, please bring the defendant, Matt on God, to the stand.
The items from DeKiller's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time's run out.
I can't believe it.
The outcome now lies in your hands.
Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly innocent and good person. You've done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent.
Huh. So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out.
Mr. On Guard?
What an atrocious lawyer I have, giving his own client up like this. And that refreshing like a spring breeze crap, it's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer?
Should I side with justice, or should I save Maya's life?
You better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay?
But if I did that, Maya will die. But if I say he's innocent, then Miss Andrews will be charged as the murderer. Do I say he's guilty or not guilty? Either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statements on this matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt on Guard, is innocent.
There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer's gonna say what I want, aren't you?
Right. I can't do this, but I have to decide something. I can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt on Guard, is, well, for the sake of completion, let's say not guilty for now.
We're waiting for your answer, Mr. Wright. Matt on Guard, your client, deserves an answer.
Maya, I'm sorry. Matt on Guard is...
Come on, for real? I could have sworn that was it.
Franziska von Karma!
What are you doing here? Ow!
You see now, don't you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off that scruffy fool.
Did you bring them? The final pieces? Do you have them?
You should know better than to ask that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. If Von Karma is perfect in every way, the evidence is here in perfect condition. Don't worry about Scruffy, he's fine, and his injuries are minor. All of his items are inside this.
What a filthy old coat this is.
That's Gumshoes. I can spot his tattered rags anywhere.
I apologize for its ugliness, but there was nothing else to wrap the items in.
I fought long and hard this whole trial. All for what's inside this raggedy coat. I'm sure that inside that coat lies a crucial piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside that filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence.
Your final evidence? This trial is already over. All that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe that any evidence presented now would change the outcome of this trial.
What?
Your Honor, it is our duty to examine every piece of evidence down to the last. I request that Miss Von Karma be allowed to present these pieces of evidence.
I suppose you're right, Mr. Edgeworth. I grant permission to do so. However, this obvious rule applies here. If these items do not bring up any new points, they will not be accepted by this court. Now, Miss Von Karma, if you please.
These pieces of evidence are items left by the killer during his escape from the police.
He must have been in quite a rush.
Yes, Your Honor. The killer left 3 pieces of evidence.
Somewhere among the evidence we're about to see, there'll be something that'll turn this whole situation around like a miracle. I'm sure of it. That's all we can hope for.
The first item is a pistol.
Does the killer's pistol have anything to do with this case? Does that pistol really have any relation to this case?
We have yet to perform a ballistics test, so I can't say for certain. However, I believe it has something to do with this case. At least with me.
That's the pistol that was used to shoot you, isn't it?
That's what I believe, yes. Oh. I kept the bullets there removed from my shoulder as a sort of memento. I'm sure it will be an excellent sample for the test.
So that's the pistol that was used to shoot Franziska. It's probably not going to help us very much.
The second piece of evidence is this videotape.
I bet the killer took that from On Guard Mansion. Have you checked the contents of the tape?
Unfortunately, there was no time to.
Oh yeah.
But I would speculate that this tape is very important.
Why would you say that?
Because he came back to his hideout for it.
The killer went back for it?
That's right. It looks like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 of our officers at that site. But somehow, looks like they managed to protect it from the killer. Shelly the killer is no ordinary man. The last piece of evidence is this bellboy's uniform.
Is that a uniform from the Gatewater Hotel? Was that used during the crime?
I'm almost certain it was. There's even a pair of black leather gloves in one of the pockets.
There's no doubt about it. The killer was wearing this on the night of the murder.
There's one thing I found interesting about this uniform.
And what is that?
There's also a button missing on the uniform.
A button?
It's a very unique button. I'm sure if we were to recover it, it will provide us with an interesting clue. That is all I have to present, Your Honor.
It's just as I thought.
And what's that, Your Honor?
I'm sure were we under normal circumstances, these items from Shelley the Killer's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing.
It is who is the client.
Yes, that is correct. And these 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Von Karma. You may step down now.
Wait, Your Honor. Please allow me to examine this new evidence.
Overruled. This court has already had all the evidence it needs to hand down a verdict.
Wonderful. Absolutely splendid. This judge is such a brilliant man, isn't he? Is this the end? Phoenix. I knew it. There's no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there? I think you're wrong. I think they do exist. But you have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far. You can't give up now. But no matter how you think about it, it's... Try, for my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of this situation for us.
2?
The first... Make On Guard wish from the bottom of his soul for a guilty verdict. Huh? The killer will always place his client's trust first. If On Guard himself wishes to be convicted, then he'll let his hostage go. That may be true, but that's asking for me to do the impossible. The second way... Force the killer to end his contract with On Guard. If the killer were to no longer think of On Guard as his client, then he'd let Maya go. Yeah, that's even more impossible. He's a man who values his duty towards his clients above all else. I know both of these seem like impossible feats at first. But if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. The pieces he was just shown, he's not accepting them. Phoenix, think things through from the other side. Isn't that what's always worked for us? The other side? Wait, does she mean... You mean To turn things around? Phoenix, the judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, then who does need it? The person who needs the evidence. The defense, prosecution, and the judge. We've seen all the pieces of evidence. And that's how we've come to know the truth. But there's one person who's yet to see them all. And that person does not know the truth. That truth may be what will bring about the miracle in the end.
There are no objections at this time, correct? Now then, I will pronounce my verdict.
Why don't we all respectfully sit back and listen, kids?
I've already told you, Mr. Wright. This court does not need any more evidence.
I'm not saying it's us that needs the evidence, Your Honor.
Then you want to show the evidence to that person?
Yes, Your Honor. Please, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I'll grant you one chance.
One chance?
Please show your evidence as to who you might think is the right person.
That's impossible. To turn this situation around in one try?
One try. That is all I will permit.
I have to try to remember everything that's happened up to this point. Think, Phoenix, think. There may be a way to save Maya while taking on guard down at the same time.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show evidence to?
Let's pick Edgeworth, smartass.
I see. And now tell the court this one piece of evidence that you would like to show this person. Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth?
I don't have anything to say to this.
How about you, Miss Von Karma?
Well, I was just shot, so...
I'm afraid I cannot allow the defense to continue.
What?
No one understands what you're talking about anymore.
Wait, please, one more chance.
That is enough, Mr. Wright. I will now state my verdict. This court finds the defendant Matt on guard
Not guilty.
That is all. The court is adjourned.
And just like that, the case was over. I ran away from the courtroom and wandered the streets alone. I never saw Maya again. The killer is a man of his word, so I'm sure he released her as promised. I heard the verdict of Miss Andrews' trial a few days later. She was found guilty, of course. The miracle never happened. Maybe it was never meant to. Because a miracle is something that doesn't exist.